Hey everybody, we are back with another video. This one I got for Christmas. It is the Kevin Smith Quiver by Kevin Smith, Phil Lester, and Parks. So, this one's obviously just like a simple library copy, but I heard that was pretty good, so I thought, why not give it a shot? So, there is a lot to cover. And Kevin Smith is a very controversial figure in the movie and comic book world. He's written Daredevil, he's written Green Arrow, he did like Spider-Man, Batman, and some of those are kind of, I believe Green Arrow was his first character. I could be wrong on that. But this is pretty good. And then I feel like, I don't know, they kind of just went like downhill as they went along. From my understanding, I haven't read everything he's written, but like for example, like Spider-Man, he's like my favorite character. So I was excited. Oh, Kevin Smith, like, you know, especially in high school, he was my favorite director because again, he had Comic Book Man, he had his movies, and you know, Spider-Man's my favorite character. So I was excited, and then I read some reviews and stuff, and like he did like the first like 3 issues, they were pretty good, and then he did Clerks 2, I believe, and then they kind of went downhill. He did the other 3 issues, and he did some like major rewriting of Felicia Hardy's character. So it's fine, but I'm kind of hit or miss with Kevin Smith because I like Clerks, I like Chase and Amy. Some of his other movies are, I like the reboot, you know, Jane and Silent Bob reboot. But everyone says, like, for example, like Dogma's their favorite, but there's a giant like toilet monster in that one. So you know, Mallrats has like good moments and stuff, but I don't know. Does he get a lot of flack? In my opinion, yes. Like, he does write for his audience, he makes movies for his audience, you know, a lot of weed jokes and stuff. I do have like his book. I've read his book. I think his book's really well written. So I don't know if it's like the editor or whatnot, but like his book's really well written. Like there's like some sex jokes in there, but you know, nothing like crazy, at least not to me. Like, but anywho, like you know, I'm a fan of Kevin Smith, but I know not everybody is. Like, he writes to a certain crowd. But this I really liked. There wasn't anything like super crazy in it. This again, I believe, is his first book because it has a lot of like 90s-esque traits in it. But he does make sure that Oliver Queen is a liberal. He hates the cops. Cops are fascists. So again, with somebody with no knowledge of Green Arrow, I thought that was interesting. I haven't really even watched like the Arrow TV show, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's how we're playing this. All right. But yeah, it is a very lore heavy book. But again, I liked it. You know, if it's a first time read for you, first time into comic books, definitely would not recommend it. You need some background history before you get in there. But Batman and Superman are talking about, you know, being cold and like, you know, this is crazy. I've never felt cold before, but I feel like, you know, I feel like there's a cold in my bones. And Batman's like, what? And he's like, you know, they're talking, and Superman's like, I felt something leave my person. Batman's like, what do you mean you felt something leave your person? He's like, well, I mean, usually with my super senses, I can sense everything, and something microscopic has left my being. Batman's like, what are you talking about? What's going on? Get a load of this guy. And that's kind of fun, you know, like, haha, Superman, Batman, they're talking. So that's cool. And then it does get a little confusing. Like, again, you start off and it's like Batman, Superman, fine. And then you get Oliver Queen's grave, and you see like some green feet, and it's meant to kind of like be a surprise. Um, but with my knowledge of DC, you can tell it's the Spectre because he's over Green Arrow's grave, and you're like, okay, like we get it. Like he's like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. He's bringing it back to life. And then we get like Black Canary. She's doing some superhero stuff. Okay, that's fine. And then we get Connor Hawk, I believe, and he's like in like a temple, monastery, village type thing. Like, okay. So again, it gets like, this is where it gets like a little confusing because I'm like, is this past, present? I don't know what's going on. But then we get an old man being mugged in the street, and then Oliver Queen comes in, and he's like, "You look like you've seen a ghost." He like saves him. He's like, "You all right, buddy?" And then we go from there, and the old man is like takes him in, and puts him in like the arrow cave or whatever, and he lets him live with him. And then we get more like some like ladies of the night, and like politicians are, the ladies of the night, so to speak, are underage, and the politicians are like, using their power, like, I'm gonna take pictures of you, ha 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 ha, and it's not, obviously it's not very good. And then Green Arrow comes in and saves the young lady. So, she's in a bad spot, like, financially and physically, and obviously she's not very well because she's, I believe she's like 17. She's like, selling her body, so that's not the best spot to be at when you're 17. And she is like, her boyfriend or whatever is abusive and, making her do these things. So she messes him up and runs out of there, and like Green Arrow's like, helps her and like puts her in like the youth center and everything. So that's pretty cool. And then we start like getting into the story. We get like these flashes of the Star City Killer, and they're kind of confusing to start off because you're like, they're just flashes, so it's like, what's going on? Like, what's this? You get like these monsters, and Green Arrow's trying to figure out who this person is, the Star City Slayer. Is it a man? Is it a woman? What's going on? And then we get like, he's going to the bureaucrats, like, what's, this politician was like with a 17-year-old girl. What's up with that, buddy? You fat cats. And then he sees like there's like a plaque on the wall, and it says 1999. He's like, what do you mean 1999? Like, what just happened? I was with Green Lantern. We were on the streets. We were road tripping around the world. It was fun. It was like the 80s, right? What's happened? Is it the 90s already? That's insane. And again, like, it can be very confusing because there's a lot of lore. There's like misdirection kind of things because he's confused about what's happened to his life. And he goes on like a drug bust. He goes to the docks, meets Aquaman. Aquaman's like, "What are you doing, Oliver? You're dead, right?" And then, he takes him up to the JLA Towers. They teleport up there. And then we get like some nice interactions with the Justice League. And Batman's unsure about what's going on. So he knocks him out, takes him back to the Batcave. He's like, is this a clone? Is this a trick? Is this somebody trying to like, steal our secrets? What's going on? And then we get like Stephanie Brown's in the Batcave. So again, it is very lore heavy. Because if you don't know who Stephanie Brown is, you're going to be confused, especially because she's dressed up as spoilers. So spoilers, like, you know, another side character in the Bat family. You're like, who's Spoiler? Like, I don't know. So that is one thing, like, in my, like, TikToks and my videos, I try to, like, make things first reader friendly. Like, this book is not first reader friendly. Like, it is filled with lore and back history story stuff. And like Kevin Smith wants you to know, he knows about comic books. Because Batman's gaining his body. He's like, he doesn't have any scar from this issue. He doesn't have scars from this issue. Like, he just starts rattling off, like, times Green Arrow's been, like, attacked and scarred. And, you know, there's no scars on his back from Poison Ivy from this issue. And you're like, what's going on? Like, even that I thought was, like, a crazy lore grab. But, you know, there's a lot going on. So then we start getting into, like, the, again, more, like, meat and potatoes, because you think the story's going somewhere, you think he's going for the Star City Slayer, but then no, we're looking at his past, and, like, how is he alive? So Batman scans his body. Then we get into this, like, demon, Etrigan. I've seen him before in, like, maybe, like, TV and stuff, but I'm not super familiar with his backstory. He's like a demon, and he rhymes, and that's all I got out of the book. There's, like, an alter ego, like Jason Blood, but anywho. So then we find out more about Green Arrow and what happened, and I don't want to spoil everything, but then we start getting into, like, okay, so Green Arrow is here because of this, and, you know, this is causing this to happen. So there is payoff. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but, like, when you start, like, getting, like, into that part, then we get, like, payoff and the backstory and the history, and it is pretty good. The covers are really good. They're, you know, look like oil paintings, but I would definitely check this out. I honestly would probably give this, like, a 9 out of 10. Like, this is a good book. Especially, again, you get, like, some talk about, like, religion and stuff. That's really good. And, yeah, again, I'm not going to spoil, like, everything, but that's, like, a rundown of the 10 issues that this takes place in. If it's your first time reading a comic book, I would not recommend it. But if you have your knowledge of DC and you know what you're getting into, then definitely give it a look. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next review. Keep reading comics. Peace.